also wanted to talk about Arrow's Vertigo episode, because we've talked about how excited I was for Seth to come on to the show.
I don't think we've talked enough about how excited you
Whatever,
were.
I was really excited. And so I was obviously very excited to see the episode. And, you know, he did a lot of press before it aired saying how he, and talked to you about how he wanted to kind of invoke the Joker in a lot of ways. And I kind of read that and kind of like tucked it away and was like, okay, whatever. And then I saw the episode and I was like, oh my God, it is exactly that. And look, kudos to him for tapping into that range and for playing someone so unlike anything I've ever seen him do. Like, he is really great in the role. But I will say that it took me out of the world of Arrow a lot, which is weird to say because it's a comic book show. And ultimately, when you play a character, a count who is written to be flamboyant anyway, and you play him like another comic book character, the Joker, you would think it would fit perfectly. But one of the things I've always loved about Arrow has been how the things around the actual bad guys of the week or whatever, they're always a little larger than life and a little bit crazy. Like, they wear the masks, and it's insane that Stephen Amell can do that salmon ladder, and it's insane that the Arrow can shoot his arrows from as far away as he can with such accuracy. But I've always found like the interactions between people to be very grounded in reality, even with all of those crazy comic book elements.
Yeah.
And I felt like the Count was a little bit more fantasy. Like, I didn't feel he was a real person. I felt he was a lot more, that comic book villain, which to me it wasn't bad, it was just distracting. And I was like, really, I want to go back and rewatch the episode, because when I watched it the first time, I teetered a lot between like thinking it was an act, like thinking the Count was acting that way, like puffing himself up and putting on this bravado because he was the Count, and because every time we saw him, he was either screaming at an underling or going up against Oliver. But we never really got to know if that's the case or not, because then he got carted off in a OD rage. And so I don't know. Like, I liked it, but I didn't love it the way that I fully expected to, and I don't know what to do with that, because like I want to see him again. Right. Well, I know that if we do, we're not going to see him the same way anyway. And so it's kind of, I don't know that I'll ever be satisfied, because maybe he comes back and the drugs have affected him so much that he's a completely different person, and maybe I like that person better. Right. But it still doesn't change how jarring I felt that this episode was.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I talked to Seth a couple of times about the role, and I read a couple of the interviews he did as well. And I don't know if you actually read my interview with him.
I did.
Because the thing what he was saying that fascinated me was that the director basically had him do the quieter takes and the more outrageous takes, and he didn't know what they were going to end up using until he actually did the ADR.
And honestly, that scares me when I hear actors say that, because I'm like, if the director doesn't know what he wants on the day, I'm concerned. And I wonder if the director knew, but he felt like he had to give the network options because of the way the season had been going thus far.
I mean, I don't know if because it was Wendy, I can't remember her last name is right now. Sorry, Wendy. I'm not sure if that was just from the EPs, not sure how far they wanted to take this, because like you said, this is, this character is very, very, even when the promos, he was so very flamboyantly out there.
He was written that way. Like, if you just read his dialogue on the page, it needed to be. It needed to be.
And I kind of wonder if that's going to be kind of a turning point for the show/season, where they will have a little bit more of those exaggerated villains.
Right, but what's odd to me then is then you have the next episode, I believe it's the immediate next episode, Cyrus Vance, who is a quote-unquote real-world bad guy. He's not from the comic books. Right. So if it is a turning point, then you need to be consistently doing that all the way through. So, and that's fine, but because it wasn't
Deathstroke in the next one too, so it could be.
But even the Royal Flush Gang we've had, they integrated them into a more real world scenario. Right. They made those characters extremely relatable, and like you could feel like it could be something happening outside your door, even though the world of Starling City is exaggerated. It was never that level exaggerated, and so it just completely threw me, and I was like, I don't know how to feel yet. Like, I want to like this so much more than I actually like it, and I like it as much as I like it because I like Seth. Yeah. if I didn't like Seth as much as I do, and I didn't know like what it took to play that role from a production and an acting standpoint.
Because that's so unlike anything that
and that's a tough persona for most actors to put on. But if I didn't intellectually know all of those things, if I was just an average viewer sitting back watching it, not knowing who he was, not caring, I don't know that I would have.
If the average viewers don't know Seth Gable, I'm kind of sad for you average viewers.
But I'm just being realistic.
Kidding.
No offense to Seth Gable, but like, people don't watch the shows that we think they should watch.
Yes.
And he's not on crap. So
no, he's not on crap. So he's been on quality shows that haven't lasted as long as they should have.
Right. So sorry, I'm just saying I don't know that. I hope he gets more notoriety now, but I'm just saying I think
that's a completely fair point.
I embraced it more because of him than I maybe would have in a normal scenario, and that's also just an interesting thing for me to realize, because I'm cutting slack. Maybe that shouldn't be cut. Maybe,
Right. I mean, I think that happens when you know what it. I think it's also an interesting thing for us, which might be getting too insidery baseball for you people. Sorry. But like when it's an expression.
I know it's an expression.
But basically, when you know an actor, or when you've seen them in various amounts of roles, and you know how different they are in real life from what you see them do, it can kind of impress you more. Like I was, thinking.
Oh, I just meant even from his previous roles, but yeah.
But it's like when you know people and you see how.
Well, that's acting.
Yes, but I've had people talk to me about actors that are like, oh my god, they're terrible. I'm like, no, that's actually pretty impressive considering that's the exact opposite of how they are in real life.
Well, but I just mean it's your job as an actor is to play people that are not yourself. So if an actor says,
and how many people do
I agree with you, because a part of it too is you just get pigeonholed. But I just think that like if you're taking the job seriously and you're actually an artist, like you want to take those roles, you want to challenge yourself, you want to step outside.
Right.
So that's I don't want to dissuade people from watching the episode or make people think he wasn't good. He absolutely was good. It wasn't what I was hoping for from that character.
Hopefully he'll come back and surprise you.
So anyway, I'm Danielle at Danielle TBD.
I'm Marisa at Marisa Rothman.
This was We Have Thoughts.
Because we clearly do. Bye guys.
Bye.